Hey, Disney cruisers, and welcome back to the DCL community where we are here to help you plan, prepare for, and get excited for your Disney cruise. Today, we are doing a deep dive into all things Vancouver. If you don't know or you are new to Disney Cruise Line, Vancouver is a pretty popular port because Disney only sails from there for a couple of months of the year, and we're going to get into all of that. But as you're coming in, please say hello. Let us know where you're watching from, and let us know if you have a Disney cruise sailing out of Vancouver booked. I'm curious who all is sailing. But as people are coming in, Megan, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name's Megan. I'm a travel agent with Waves and Wonder Travel. And I've been cruising since 2013. That was our first Disney cruise. We've been completely hooked ever since. I've got three kids, and we've been on all the Disney ships. We've been on most of the itineraries. Um, and I really love being a Disney travel agent because I see a lot of comments just in like other Facebook groups in general about people that have been on Disney cruises, and they said they didn't like it, which I cannot really comprehend, but I think that's like I wanna help people like it. I want to help people get the most value for their money and make sure they're going on the ship that they would enjoy the best and all those kinds of things. So, I feel like if you're properly prepared for a Disney cruise, I can't
Yes.
imagine why you wouldn't like it. So, my goal is always to properly prepare everyone. So,
Oh my gosh. Yes, I love that. And we have some friends joining from Texas. People booked for September. Friends from Canada joining us. Love
wow.
that. Sailing in 108 days. Some other friends going from Chicago, my neck of the woods.
Okay.
Love that. And our friends over in Indiana, over by
Okay.
you. Love that too. But I couldn't agree more. On my last cruise, there was somebody who got on board and was so angry that they didn't know that they had to download the Disney Cruise Navigator app.
Mhm.
And I was like, how how do you not know that? But that's why having a travel agent and an expert in Disney Cruise Line, because just an FYI, not all travel agents are the same. Just
Right.
putting that out there for everybody. But that's why having an expert like Megan in your corner is so important. If you don't know, her planning services are actually free for you to utilize. She's a mom. She gets what it's like traveling with kids, flying across the country,
Yeah.
coordinating snacks. She gets it. So let her help you and put all of her expertise to use. But we're going to be diving into all things Vancouver today. We're touching on how to get there, where to stay, embarkation, all that good stuff. But let us know about any questions that you have. Undecided about booking one from Vancouver? We might convince you by the end of this.
Yeah.
I'm excited. But let us know about any questions, and let's go ahead and dive into why choose Vancouver as a port for a Disney
Yeah.
cruise, especially when there are warmer climates and beaches out there.
There are. So Vancouver, first and foremost, is an amazing city just by itself. It's got mountains and ocean right there together. It's beautiful. The cruise port is located right downtown on the waterfront. It's in within walking distance to tons of different activities, hotels, so it's a little different than some of the other, like Port Canaveral is on the ocean, obviously, but there's not like a major city right there at the port. And so Vancouver's a little different. I think it's one of the best ports in terms of if you want to do some pre or post cruise activities, stay a few days before or stay a few days after, and kind of tie all that together. And then also, it just has unique itineraries. I mean, it's the only port that's going to Alaska, it's the only port going to Hawaii. So yeah, there's just a lot to love about it, I think.
I was gonna say, I know I'm a total beach bum. So the idea of not having
Mhm.
Castaway, not having Lookout Now, right? There's a familiarity there. So how do you have that conversation with your clients who are maybe like me and a little, I'm like, is it gonna be too cold? I know we always get the question about Alaska, and is it gonna be too cold?
I mean, it can be chilly. I won't lie. Um, I think you're definitely gonna have days where you're in sweatshirts, possibly coats, when you're out on the deck or whatever of the cruise ship.
Yeah.
But I think the trade-off is worth it because you're gonna have some of the most absolutely stunning scenery in the entire world. Alaska is just one of those places that and not the like I said, you can also do Hawaii cruises as well. So it's not just Alaska, but the majority of the cruises that leave from Vancouver are Alaska. Um, so Alaska it is a different type of vacation. It's going to be much more nature based, outdoorsy based. So I always encourage people, even if you are a beach bum, just try it. Try something different. Like my kids love both kind of vacations because they love some of the more active aspects of being out in nature, hiking, seeing wildlife. That's a totally different experience than what you might get on a Caribbean cruise, but it's just as amazing. So those are my top things about Alaska or, those types of cruises in general.
Yes, and I feel like everyone I know who's done an Alaska cruise, when they come back, they've raved about it, and they say it's if
Hmm.
it's not their favorite cruise they've ever done, it's the second favorite. Like, I
Yeah, I
hear
think for most people, Alaska is kind of like a bucket list type of destination or type of vacation. So there's a lot that's going to be unique about it that you wouldn't get with any other type of cruise. So that makes it special as well.
it's on my bucket list. I know I need to go, and I know Disney. It kind of shook us up a little bit with this latest round of itinerary
Yes.
drop. So talk to us about what Vancouver itineraries are looking like.
So they do have quite a few options and some new options for 2026. So you can do, they have 4 nights that are Pacific Coast cruises. So that'll be one way from San Diego to Vancouver or Vancouver to San Diego. They have new for 2026, they're doing 5 night Alaskan cruises. So if you maybe don't have as much time off, you can take a shorter cruise, you can do a 5 night cruise. And then they have their standard 7 night Alaskan cruises. They also have 8 and 9, a couple different options for Alaskan cruises. And then they have 10 nights, which are Hawaiian one way. So those go from either Hawaii to Vancouver, or they have them from Vancouver to Hawaii as well. And also new for 2026, the Magic is going to be doing Alaskan cruises as well. So they must be popular if they're having two ships run
At
the
the same
cruises.
time.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And we have the question here, is it only summertime itineraries?
For Alaska, yes, just because other times of the year it is too cold, the weather does not cooperate. Um, so like the Hawaiian ones, those are basically on either end because they're getting the ship to Vancouver or to Hawaii. So like I know there's a Hawaiian one in February and then there's also one like in September. So you're kind of going to have those on either ends, and then the Pacific coasts are the same way. Kind of on the shoulder season of summer to get the ship where it needs to be to start those Alaskan cruises.
Repositioning, and I
Yeah.
am with you. I definitely want to do this one too. I feel like we should all go together on an Alaskan cruise. But I know somebody asked earlier about would you rather do the Vancouver to Hawaii or Hawaii to Vancouver? And I feel like there's not a wrong answer, but what
No,
would you
I don't think there's
recommend?
necessarily a wrong answer. I think personally, I would probably rather start in Vancouver and end up in Hawaii where I know it's going to be beautiful warm weather.
Yeah.
um, but it could be as something as simple as it's much more inexpensive to fly into Hawaii and fly out of Vancouver. So that could help you make a decision in that way also. So that's one way to look at it. I don't think there's necessarily a right or wrong answer for that.
Yeah, and can you help look at flights for your clients
Yes,
too?
for
Okay,
sure. Yep.
awesome. So you can weigh those options. Love that. And then somebody else had asked about seasickness when it comes to these cruises, the
Mhm.
repositioning from Hawaii down to or up to Vancouver, but even Alaskan cruises in general. Is seasickness an issue?
I don't think Alaskan cruises, I think they're usually pretty calm just because you do stay pretty close to the coast for most of it. So I think most people experience pretty calm seas for the Alaskan ones. I don't hear many problems with sea sickness or rough seas on those Alaskan itineraries.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard that cruises from Seattle, I think, can be a little bit rough
Yes.
coming out, but
Hmm.
Disney doesn't sail from Seattle,
Right.
so, that's awesome, and I know as someone who gets motion sick very easily, that sounds like one less thing to worry about. You know, you've
Hmm.
got the bands and the patches and everything, but not having to worry about packing those would be I mean, you probably still bring them, but not having to worry about using them. That is awesome. Okay, so let's talk about actually getting there. I know this causes a lot of anxiety for people. So let's start talking through how to get to Vancouver.
Yeah. So Vancouver, the main airport's called Vancouver, abbreviated YVR. Um, so there's probably not going to be a ton of nonstop flights, maybe from the major cities like Chicago or JFK or something like that. But you are probably looking at a connecting flight to get to Vancouver. Um, the airport is about 30 to 35 minutes from the port, so not too far away. Um, So DCL does offer shuttle transfers from the airport to the port. It's $25 per person per way, but that's only on the morning of the cruise and then also the day you get off the ship back to the airport. Um, Another pretty easy option of getting from the airport to the port is SkyTrain. So this is essentially like almost like a metro train that leaves directly inside the airport and drops you off at Waterfront Station, which is like right downtown. It's about a 5-minute walk to the port.
That's
So
nice.
it's very easy. It's only about $10 per person. You know, they have departure, you know, it leaves the airport like every 15 minutes, I think. So that's a really great option to get from the airport, especially when you have little kids. You don't want to have to worry about car seats and all that stuff. So, yeah, that's a good option. And then they also have the normal things like taxi, Uber is at the airport. You can take it directly downtown to the port. You can get a rental car, and they also have private transfers. So there's lots of different ways. And the best way is just going to depend on your family. Do you have kids? Do you have people with mobility concerns? So there's a lot to consider, but we can work through all that, find the best option for you. So,
I was gonna say, I know people are used to at Disney just hopping on the Disney bus and
mhm,
I get that there's can be some concerns about that, but Disney wants to make it easy. And from
right.
everything I've heard, Vancouver, it's easy to get around, it's safe, and
Yep.
it's clean. So,
Yes.
which
Yeah,
is
it's
like,
a very modern, clean, safe city. Like I said, the SkyTrain, they have that. And then there's also a pretty good metro system once you get more into downtown Vancouver. So if you are there a few days early and you're wanting to do activities and sightsee, they do have that metro system. They have a good bus system. You can get a rental car. So it's pretty, I think it's one of the better cities. The only one of the major differences is that DCL does not do any of their shuttle transfers from an airport, or I'm sorry, from a hotel. So you can't stay in a hotel the night before and then take a shuttle from the hotel to the port. So that's one of the little bit differences between the Vancouver port and like Port Canaveral or Fort Lauderdale or some one of those other ones.
okay, okay, that is so good to know. And Tia is asking if you need to bring Canadian cash.
I would probably bring a little bit because when you're at the port, you know, the porters that are taking your bags onto the ship
Good point.
are going to be Canadian. I'm sure they would accept USD, but they would probably prefer CAD, Canadian dollar. So I would probably bring a little bit, but most in general for any Disney cruise, you don't need much cash for tipping. So, you know, maybe $2 or $3 per bag. That's about
And I
it.
was And I was gonna say, always make sure, a little pro tip, ask me how I learned this one the hard way. Let your credit card company know that you are
Yes.
traveling just in case you leave the country and you want to buy something because it's never any fun when your card gets declined
Yeah.
abroad because they think someone's stolen it. So
Yeah.
just a word to the wise on that one, right? Okay. And so, well, from Seattle too. I'm so glad
Yeah.
you included this.
Yeah. So Seattle is another pretty popular option. A lot of times airfare can be less expensive since you're still in the US and you might have more nonstop options getting from your home airport to Seattle. So Seattle, if you want to drive, it's about 3 hours. I would definitely allow extra time for the border crossing because you are going to have to go across the Canadian border and be stopped there. They also have a train called the Amtrak Cascades. So this is about a 5-hour train ride from Seattle to downtown Vancouver. Um, and it's a beautiful train ride. I love train travel, so I would probably be tempted to do this next time I go. But um, you can also drive. So if you're getting a rental car, just make sure that it's one that you have permission to take across the border because some rental car companies don't have that, or you pay extra for it maybe. So
Yeah.
just a couple things to think about with that.
Well, that is such a good point. I would have never thought to ask that question, so I love that you said that. And then Michelle is asking, oh, this is okay. Yep. Do they have bathrooms on the train, and is it more
Yes.
expensive?
It is it's more expensive than like the SkyTrain, the one from the Vancouver airport to I'm not actually exactly sure of the prices. I should have looked that up, but I didn't. So that was my mistake. But they do have bathrooms on the train. I know they have like like a meal car on the train. You can buy food. So it's a really pleasant experience in terms of getting from Seattle to Vancouver.
Yeah, just a way to see more of the country.
Mm-hmm.
And, especially if you're from that neck of the woods too. I know we have a lot of Disney cruisers who are from the West Coast and they're just dying
Mm-hmm.
for a ship to be out there permanently. But this
Yeah.
is maybe an easier option. And I love having options to fly into Seattle too, because I know people are always asking, can I fly into Miami? Can I fly into what's the other one? Is it Sanford in Orlando?
Sanford, Orlando. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So it's good to have options. And what about
Mm-hmm.
actually getting to the port?
Okay, so the name of the cruise port is Canada Place. If you are trying to find it on a map or you're there and you're trying to put it into your Google or whatever, it's located right in the city of Vancouver, like we talked about earlier. Tons of hotels, restaurants, activities within walking distance. Um, so it's I don't know, it might be hard for people to see, but um, part on there that has like the three little gray symbols, that's Waterfront Station. So that's where like the SkyTrain drops off from the Vancouver airport. There's like a metro station there as well. And that's only about 5 minutes walking distance to the port. So you can also park there. They have parking that you need to reserve in advance, and it's about $40 a day. So it's just super easy. I think that's one of the
Yeah.
best things about it.
Yeah. And then somebody had asked about, would you drop the rental car off at the airport? And then I guess to that point, is there rental car drop off near the port too?
Not to my knowledge. I would suggest that you probably drop it off at the airport and then take the SkyTrain or take an Uber. And also, generally, if you use like a smaller rental car drop off place, it's typically more expensive than it is to drop off like at an airport or something like that. So I would definitely recommend probably using the airport one for that.
Oh, and I love this question because I know it gets a lot of people. What if somebody is struggling? The question is, what stops me is flying from Miami to the other side of the US for this
Hmm.
cruise. Right. And I get it. Right. We both have to fly to cruise port. So we get having to be on
Hmm.
the plane for a long time. But it seems like the Alaska cruises are pretty worth it. And there's deals on flights, more deals than on Disney cruises.
Yeah, and I think um, the nice thing about doing an Alaska cruise is it's a 7 night cruise. So it's not like you're flying all the way across the country and you're only doing a 3 or 4 night cruise. That's pretty short. It's hard to get adjusted to the time difference. But when you're doing a 7 night cruise, that's going to give you a lot more time on the ship. I think it's a lot more worth it in that context um, to take that long flight. And honestly, flights nowadays, in the grand scheme of things, prices are crazy no matter where you fly. Like honestly, we have flown cheaper to Europe than we can to Florida sometimes. We live in Indianapolis, so
Crazy.
not a tiny city by any means, but um it's just yeah. So I would just
Yeah.
encourage you to look at it, at least explore the options for sure.
Yeah, and I was gonna say I'm a big fan of points on credit cards for
Mhm.
travel. I know the Chase card has a bunch of people you can transfer it to if you really like
Yep.
Delta or whatever airline. Rack up the points. They have sign up offers, and maybe that's one way to cover flights. And I know it's a long trip. I know it is, but there's a reason that it's so popular. There's a reason that
Yeah.
Disney has two ships out there. So just floating that out there for everybody. But let's talk about where to stay. I know this is one of the top questions that we get about Vancouver.
Yeah, so Disney has contracts with 3 area hotels, the Fairmont Vancouver Airport, that is directly in the airport, Fairmont Waterfront, so that is actually also extremely close to the port, and then the Pan Pacific Vancouver, which is literally sitting on top of the cruise terminal. So you cannot get any closer than the Pan Pacific. And I actually think all three of them are on a little bit more of the expensive side, I would say, but I think Disney chose very well for these 3 hotels because these are the 3 that I would definitely recommend to anyone that's coming into Vancouver. They all have different I mean, if you have a late flight, staying in the airport is just so nice. You don't have to try and get to a hotel after you've been on a plane all day. And then the Fairmont Waterfront and the Pan Pacific Vancouver are so close to the port that is extremely, extremely convenient getting there the next morning. So And like Pan Pacific Vancouver, you literally just take an elevator down to like the basement level essentially, and you're in the cruise terminal. So you don't even have to walk outside. It's amazing. So yeah, I think Pan Pacific is probably my favorite out of those three, but any of them are great. So
And like you said, I'm sure there are other more economical options, especially
yeah,
if you have a
for
bigger
sure.
family. I know a lot
Hmm.
of people like to do big family reunions and on cruises, especially. So if that's you, please reach out to Megan because that's a lot of staterooms to coordinate and dining
Hmm.
times and excursions. And sometimes doing private excursions is actually better in that case, just FYI. But yeah, there are lots of options, but I've
Yeah,
heard so many people like you open your curtains in the morning and the ship is just right there. I
yeah.
mean,
And
how cool.
the Fairmont Waterfront and the Pan Pacific Vancouver, the bell services will come to your room and get your bags, deliver them to the ship. So that's another kind of perk with those two hotels. And like you said, there's tons of hotels in that area, most of them within walking distance to the port. So you have lots of options. If these are, out of your budget or just more than you want to spend, that's totally fine. There's lots of options to choose from in Vancouver.
Yes, no shortage. It is a big city, a big city. There we go. So pre and post cruise stay, what are your recommendations for how to take advantage of Vancouver?
I personally would come in at least a couple days early and have a full day in the city. Because it's a beautiful city. There's tons to do for kids. There's even national park if you want to venture outside the city. There's Victoria, British Columbia, which is like across the bay. There's whale watching expeditions. I mean, there's so much that you can do here. So I've kind of written down some of the most popular things. Stanley Park, Granville Island Public Market. If you're a foodie, there's tons of amazing food there. Capilano Suspension Bridge Park. That's really cool for kids. Grouse Mountain, there's like an aerial tram that goes up to the top of the mountain. You have amazing views. A Science World is an interactive science museum, perfect for little kids. And then there's also, I put hidden gems on here. So fly over Canada. If you like Soarin' at Disney World, this is essentially a Soarin' ride. They have them in a couple different cities. I know there's one in Las Vegas. I believe there's one in New York City now, but it's essentially Soarin', the ride. Um, and they have one in Vancouver, so it's called Flyover Canada.
So
Um,
cool.
Gastown is just like a district. They have a Chinatown there. It's amazing. And then they have Queen Elizabeth Park, which is like gardens and conservatory. So there's so much to do in Vancouver. You could spend a week there by itself, I'm sure, and not run out of things to do. So,
Oh my gosh. Yes, and the fact that there's so many family-friendly things and it's easy to
mhm.
get around. And we do have the question from, or was it from Jenny? She's asking, do you need a visa to get into the country?
For US citizen, you do not. You just need passport.
Love
So,
that.
yeah.
Love that. And then where was it? Zach is asking, what's the weather like?
It's hard to say. I mean, like,
Mhm.
it's Pacific Northwest, so, I do think there's gonna be a little more rain than other parts of the country.
Yeah.
Definitely cooler than other parts of the country, but, summer is their dry season, summer is their warm season, and that's when Disney is there. So, I think that's the best season to be there, um, and the most likely of good weather. So, I would say average high is probably 70 or 75 in the summer, maybe up to 80, but it's definitely not going to be like Florida. So just prepare yourself in that aspect, but still perfectly pleasant to walk around and do different activities.
Yeah. So true. And I was gonna say, I know they sail kind of a broad range of months. So if you
Hmm.
want, the better weather, better is different for everybody, but the closer
Hmm.
you get to the kind of the heart of summertime in the US,
Hmm.
I think the better chances of those warmer temps. But even
Yeah.
the people I know who have gone in like May and September, they still
Hmm.
love it. So,
Hmm.
oh,
Yeah, so a couple
passport.
other things. Yeah, a couple other things I just wanted to touch on because you ha passports. You have to have passports for your Vancouver cruises. So a lot of people don't use passports when they do the Florida cruises, but they are required for Vancouver because you're going into a different country. So yes, you have to have passports. And then um, this kind of gets talked about. It's kind of a tricky situation, I guess you could say. Canada is very, very strict about people coming in that have DUI convictions in their past, even if it's just a misdemeanor, even if it's just a misdemeanor. Um, if you have a DUI conviction, it is very likely or definitely you will be denied entry into Canada. Even if it's 25 years ago, even if it's only once, they're very, very strict about it. So if this is you or somebody in your group, they do have like an application you can fill out to basically request um, like forgiveness of that, basically, to be allowed entry into the country. But it's definitely something you need to consult with an immigration attorney about beforehand and get it figured out before the cruise. You don't want to be there and be denied
Oh,
entry and not be able to take your cruise. So,
yes, the heartbreak, and I know somebody out there is watching and they're like, "No, it doesn't." It does happen. There's a reason that Megan
mhm.
is bringing this up, and if you get all the way to Vancouver and you get denied, you are gonna be so angry and kicking yourself that you did not listen to Megan, and we're telling you now. We're telling you now.
Right. And then,
Um,
like,
so
regardless of whether we agree with it or not, these are Canadian laws. There's nothing we can do about it. It's just something that we have to follow the rules about. So it's just kind of
yeah.
like an FYI for everybody. Yeah.
So go ahead and just get that done. As soon as you book your cruise, just go ahead and contact who you have to because we know these things can take some time. Oh my gosh, that was so fast.
I
Okay, so
know. Yeah.
let's go ahead and chat through a couple of the other questions that came
Hmm.
up. So somebody was asking about merchandise. They are afraid that they're going to get on board. They got the sail away party and then dinner and trying to get the merchandise because,
Hmm.
as we know, people love Disney merch. Is this something you need to be concerned about? Do you have to rush to the stores right away? And do you have kind of a recommendation on how to get the merch you want?
If it's really, really important to you, I would try to be in the store when it opens on the first night because they do sell out of certain things. It definitely does happen in certain situations. So, um, like I said, if it's very, very important to you, I would try to have at least one person from your group there. Um, that's there when the store opens, which isn't until you leave the port. So it can be tricky timing wise, um, in terms of your dinner time that first night. So, I mean, I would just say, yeah, it does happen. Unfortunately, it's the merch is very, very popular sometimes. So,
Yes, yes. And things do sell out. They can restock. And I feel like
mhm,
Disney has been doing a better job about ordering and making sure that they have more of a supply, but you just never
mhm,
know cruise to cruise exactly who's going to be on and want to get, all the Minnie and her Alaska outfit and Mickey and
right.
the outfits on the characters in
Adorable.
Alaska.
I know.
That's enough of a
That's
reason to
reason enough
sail.
to go. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Oh my
I
gosh.
did
Okay.
see
Go ahead.
Um, I did see a TikTok of somebody that was on she was on a European sailing, but, um, she had good luck with I think she put her name on, like, a waiting list essentially for, like, a Spirit jersey that had sold out, and they were able to contact her a little bit later in the cruise when they were able to restock them. So that's something you might try if you go and what you want is sold out, it's just
Yeah.
that's a tip for that as
Yes.
well.
That's such a good point, and I know that I guess it's a magic and wonder, but you can kind of see into the
Yeah.
stores from that hallway. So as you're
Mhm.
touring the ship and going around that first day, go ahead and scope out what you want, and if it's that important to you, go ahead and just get that done. Maybe you have to skip the show, or maybe you have to go to, you order your stuff at dinner and then you go and grab your merch.
Mhm.
Be respectful of your dining team, but I think a big thing that people forget about with the Disney cruise is because there's so much to do, you have to prioritize. And if
Yeah,
merch is the most important thing to you, then maybe you have to skip something else that you want to
right.
do. And that's why you come back for another one the next year,
That's right.
right?
Right.
Oh, love that. And then where was it? Mackenzie is asking, are the pools heated on board? I know my little one is going to want to swim.
Yes, they are.
Yeah,
All the
they
pools are
are.
heated, so that won't be
Yeah.
I mean, it might be a little chilly when you get out, but yeah,
Yeah.
the pools are heated, so
And are people usually sailing? Are people usually swimming on Alaska cruises? I feel like kids could care less. They just want to be in the
yes.
water.
Yeah, I think tons of people do for sure. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And then Sammy is asking, is it true that there's a Frozen show?
Yes. So on the Frozen or on the Frozen, on the Wonder, they do have a Frozen show with Elsa and everything comes out. I don't think they've announced it for sure if it's going to be on the Magic. I would assume it probably will be, but since this is going to be the first year that Magic is doing these Alaskan sailings, I don't think it's been officially announced, but I would say probably. I mean, I can't imagine they'd have it on one and not the other. So we'll say
Definitely
tentatively.
no. Yes. And if anyone is sailing on the Magic this summer, you're gonna have to let us know. But definitely no
Mhm.
Pirate Night. Pirate Night's not gonna
Right.
happen on Alaska cruise.
Yeah. So
Um,
Frozen basically takes the place of your pirate night on the Alaskan sailings.
yes. And then, do you need a data plan on your cell phone to go to Vancouver?
Um, so I think most cell phone plans now, like ours, we have like they call it a day pass. So anytime we're in an international location, we get a day pass that's like $10 and we get data in that country for $10 a day. And then once you're in Alaska, it will be using your just your regular
Yeah.
US plan. So in Vancouver, you would. But I think most cell phone plans now do have that like day pass, they call it. So it's not a super expensive addition, I guess.
I was gonna say, I know with T-Mobile, you get, I think it's free data in other countries, but like I think calls and texts is maybe where
Mhm.
somebody check me on that. But yeah, definitely that's another thing you're gonna want to make sure, and that's another reason to get with Megan before you sail because she can help prepare you for all of these things. And
Yep.
then where was it? Mark is asking, I knew this question was going to come up about an inside stateroom. There's a lot of excursions that I want to do, but I'm just worried about budget. Getting a veranda is just so expensive. I feel you, man. Would you recommend an inside stateroom on an Alaska
If
cruise?
that's what's in your budget and it allows you to do the cruise, I would absolutely do an inside stateroom. Um, Honestly, I'm hardly in my stateroom that much on a cruise anyway. So, if that's all my budget allows, but that's going to allow me to do the cruise, I would absolutely still do an inside stateroom. You can see all the scenery up on deck. Um, there's going to be tons of activities out on the decks and stuff like that too. So you're going to be out there anyway. And then again, like he said, that just leaves you more money to do excursions as well. And the excursions on Alaskan cruises are amazing. So
Amazing.
I wouldn't hesitate to do it inside stateroom if it allowed me to do the cruise.
I could not agree more. It's okay to prioritize. You need to figure out what's most important to you. And I would so
Hmm.
much rather you do the cruise. You are in your stateroom to sleep and get ready.
Yep.
And maybe to decompress a little bit.
Hmm.
But you can get that view, just like Megan said, in plenty of other places. And then where was the question? Mimi is asking, what's your favorite thing to do in Vancouver? Is it that Stanley Park, or what would
Um,
you say your favorite?
we really like the Capilano suspension bridge. And we did a whale watching tour last time we were there, which was amazing. But you can also do whale watching tours as excursions on the ship, so you don't necessarily have to do it in Vancouver. We were just in Vancouver, and some of the surrounding area. So we like more of the nature type activities. So I think that's probably what we would choose when we were there.
Love it. And then we'll make this the last question for now. But oh shoot, I just lost it. Oh, Marissa is asking, would you bring a stroller?
Yes, I would bring a small stroller. This we've talked about this in lots of other events, but the hallways on Disney Cruise Lines are very, very narrow. So basically just like an umbrella stroller, if you can get away with that. I know some babies that aren't sitting up well yet, that can be more difficult, but um I would do the smallest one that works for you because the hallways are narrow, the doorways into your room are very narrow, the elevators are narrow. So yeah, it just makes it more difficult if you have a big bulky stroller, but yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's another thing to coordinate too. And, there are ways
Hmm.
to get strollers, but yeah, make it easy on yourself. The umbrella one's easy to fold, easy to store.
Yep.
And, depending on what you're doing in Vancouver, I know I've seen a lot of parents with I'm forgetting the brand name for it, but it's almost got like the seat for the baby.
Oh
And those
yeah, and you
seats
can
can,
just like strap it around your waist, basically. Yeah.
yes,
They
yes.
didn't have
Uh,
those when my kids were really little. I think those are just kind of within the last few years. So,
Yeah, brilliant invention. I'm like, what
hmm,
parent was behind this? Give them a Nobel Peace Prize.
yeah.
But there's definitely good ways. And like we said in the beginning, Megan is a mom of three. So she gets traveling with kids. She gets all the pieces to the puzzle that need to go into place for you guys to get to the cruise ship and back. So reach
Hmm.
out to her. Let her help you plan your cruise, whether it's to Vancouver or to Castaway, to Europe. She is here to help. And again, her planning services are free for you to utilize. So reach out to her, let her help you plan. Megan, thank you so, so much for hanging out with
You're
us today.
welcome. Yeah.
I know, I hope our friend who needed some convincing to book an Alaskan cruise, I don't know about you, but I just want to go to Vancouver now. And while I'm
Yeah.
there, I might as well go on a Disney cruise.
Right. I mean, you're already there. You've already flown all the way there. You might as well.
I might as well. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, Megan, thank you so much again. And we will see all y'all on board real soon. Bye, guys.